let's talk about Tinder. Yes, I do mean the dating app. And yes, I am serious. You weren't expecting to come to Convocation this morning to talk about every millennial's favorite dating app, were you? But here we are. So let's do a quick poll. How many of you, put your hands up for me, have been on Tinder or Bumble or one of those dating apps? Surprise, surprise. I've got two hands, a whole two. Okay, even if you haven't been on those apps, I'm gonna tell you how they work. Okay, so you download an app on your phone, and when you open it up, you see somebody's profile picture and a short bio. And if you're not interested, you swipe to the left. You see another picture, and you swipe to the left again. Another picture, again. Once you find somebody that you are interested in, you swipe right. And if they swiped right on you too, ding, 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 science has found you a date. I mean, it is science, right? So let's stop right there. I see you all looking like I just got out of the Stone Age, and I can see Dr. Gerald's eyes glaring into the back of my head. Why did I invite Professor Sinha? You're looking at me like that because you know that Tinder and Bumble aren't science. You know that. Now, all of a sudden, you all know about dating apps, right? Okay, so you know that it's not dating science, but why not? It looks good. Those apps are fancy. They're pretty. They use an algorithm. Algorithms are science, right? Well, for one thing, they don't use the scientific method. They aren't based on rigorous testing. They're not vetted by scientists. There aren't guardrails in place to make sure that they're not misused. Sure, they're super fun, but they weren't validated to make sure that you're getting out of them what you downloaded the app to get, which is a date. And you know all of that from your own personal experience. For those of you who've actually been on the apps, you know that sometimes you're presented with a match, but you're not so sure about it. And you swipe right anyway, because you want them to be. That's the whole point of the app, right? You swipe right, you meet them, you go out on a date, and the whole date's a big old womp womp. Don't get me wrong. Of course, sometimes two people swipe right, they meet, they get together, and the whole thing works great. But most people still swiping. Now, I want you to take that idea that something can look and feel like science even without having real science behind it, and apply it to something a lot more menacing than dating apps. And that is the criminal legal system. Now, I know, you thought that I was here today in my capacity as UMB's VP of Tinder Affairs. But actually, I'm a criminal defense attorney. Before joining UMB, I spent 10 years as a public defender representing poor people charged with crimes. And now at Carey Law, I teach my students how to do that work. When I started practicing, I expected that all of the technology, all of the forensics used in criminal cases was just as scientific and reliable as many of you may think it is right now. I mean, just like Dr. Gerald, I've watched CSI. I've seen the computers light up, bing, bing, bing. I've seen the two prints slowly move across the computer screen to overlay exactly on top of each other. And I've seen the man in the white lab coat turn and look directly into the screen and say, bingo, right? I've seen CSI. But I was wrong. CSI was wrong. We were all wrong. What I learned on the job was something entirely different. I learned that a lot of the so-called science used to police and prosecute our communities, used to convict, hasn't been scientifically vetted in the ways that we'd expect it to be or that we'd want it to be. Even the stuff that could be reliable is used for purposes it was never intended for, at the margins, or pushed beyond its limits, or its conclusions are exaggerated, all of which make it no longer good science. And in fact, I learned this. A lot of the forensics we see in criminal cases today wasn't developed in scientific labs or research universities like ours. They were developed by police departments for prosecution or by for-profit companies to sell to police departments for prosecutions. Forensics look good. It looks like science. But a lot of it is no better than swiping left, looking for a match until you see what you want to see. So, what's the problem if it's not as scientific as we thought it was? I mean, it gets people who do bad things off the streets, right? So I want to make one thing clear. Of course, this stuff works sometimes, same way that sometimes you match with somebody great on Tinder or Bumble and it works out. But is that good enough when we transpose it onto the criminal legal system? Everyone here knows that the criminal legal system disproportionately harms Black, brown, and other marginalized communities. Even after you control for other variables, Black and brown people are stopped more by police, they're searched more, they have force and violence used against them more, they're arrested more, they're held before trial more, they get worse plea offers and longer sentences, they're convicted more, they are wrongfully convicted, all of this disproportionately more. Forensics and technology fuels every step of that process. In many cases, it is supposed technology that sends police into the community, that tells them who to stop and who to arrest. It's supposed technology, algorithms, that says they should be detained in jails before their trial, that says this is the guy who did the crime. Supposed technology that says they deserve a long sentence. But what if it is wrong? Even just sometimes. What if when you swipe right, it's not really a match? You just wanted it to be. Faulty forensics is a major contributor to miscarriages of justice. It is a contributing factor in more than 1 out of every 5 wrongful convictions. That's over 700 wrongful convictions uncovered to date, and those are just the ones we know about. And on top of it all, not only do they get away with looking like science, feeling like science, even if there's not that much science behind them, but forensics and the technology we see in criminal cases, they make pulling you over, they make stopping you, frisking you, arresting you, prosecuting you, convicting you, sentencing you, they make it look clean, even when it's dirty. We know that every now and then you swipe right and you get a match, but is it really? So where do we go from here? Well, we have 2 choices. We can keep on swiping left and ignore the junk, or we can scrutinize it. Before I joined UMB and since I joined UMB, that's what I've been working on. And I want you to join me. We owe it to our communities to make sure that the stuff that's used to suck them into the criminal legal system works how it's supposed to work, and that it isn't being misused, and that people like us are looking at it carefully before it's deployed against the most vulnerable members of our community. That's part of our job here at UMB. It's part of our public service mission to educate each other and serve our community. So here's one simple thing you can do, one little step you can take. Next time you get a jury summons, don't moan and groan and try to get out of it. It's important. We need good, smart, thoughtful jurors. And tell everyone in your family and your household the same thing. And when you get on that jury and you're listening to that case and you hear about all the so-called crime-fighting technology or whatever it is in that case, think critically about it. Ask yourself if it's really doing what they claim it's doing. Use your university mind. Think about it like a scientist, not like someone on Tinder or Bumble. Because one of the biggest dangers of faulty forensics is that it's stealth. Look around. Most of us here may not have even known it had any problems at all, but it can lead to unfairness in the criminal process. And it means that if we want to change how our communities are policed and prosecuted, we have to fix the science. Because otherwise, we're just swiping left. Thank you.
Thank you, Maneka. That was phenomenal. I will say to you, we have 7 schools here with people just as capable and passionate as Maneka, and it's just a phenomenal place to be. And I urge you to keep that in your mind as we go ahead.